I've been wanting to talk about Wakfu for a while now, but never really had a chance to do so. Or else, I wanted to rewatch it and catch up to give my opinions on it of why you should watch Wakfu. I'm only talking about seasons 1, 2, 3, and including the OVAs and other specials, because yes, season 4 is out for those you don't know, but I am still in the midst of watching season 4 and everything. So this is why I'm here to talk about Wakfu seasons 1, 2, 3. Now, the world of Wakfu, if I really wanted to talk about it, you could do an over an hour long video for the lore of the Wakfu world. It is based off an MMORPG in French, by the way, and it's created over there, along with stuff like Radiance and Kolyoko, those French shows. Of course, Kolyoko is a different studio, but just you get the point. Well, anyways, it's based off a place called the World of 12, a place where there are 12 different species that overpopulate that world that was once created by 12 different gods. However, a new species is on the planet, only one so far as we know of, and his name is Hugo Warren. Was it Hugo Warren? No. Sorry, it's just Hugo. I don't know why. I'm thinking someone else. Hugo. I'm thinking Hugo, but now it's Hugo. Hugo is a boy named Heliotrope, a kind of species that can summon portals where they go. And plus, they age very, very slowly as well. They also can manifest Wakfu and turn into weapons when they so desire in combat. So anyways, he was adopted by this former bounty hunter, and they decided to create a tavern where they go and serve food. One day, one of the greatest villains to ever be created, named Nox, came over to attack him and absorb Wakfu. So now he discovers that he must find this dragon that once dropped him off and journey on an adventure with other people. Like Royal, the Trop, the Evangeline, the Krar, Amelia, the Sedata, and of course everyone's personal favorite, Dali, a Sadly Groove, the Yop. So yes, there's different species in this place. And I hear I'm going to talk to you about each season briefly, what's going on here. So season 1 is very episodic and very cartoony. It is the one where nothing really happens, at least towards the very end of the season, where they're just traveling around, making it to their destination while getting to know each other. It's the explaining the world, exploring the world, and also showing up the characters, how they are. Dally is a bit of an idiot. Evangeline is the smart one who's very responsible. Worrell is the cheapskate, but he is also the most experienced. And Hugo himself is the child ready for adventure. And Amalia is the spoiled child, the princess. And unfortunately, a lot of people, every time I try to talk about a series online, a lot of people bring up a certain way how they discovered the series, the incorrect way, the incorrect way they discovered the series. And I was like, yeah, I get it already. You won't believe how many times I've seen this response. It's ridiculous. I'm not telling you what it is, but if you know, you know. But anyways, season 1 is very kiddish, and some say it even drags the show around where some people wish to leave if they're not interested in a goofy plot from here to there. And I can understand why, especially at the beginning where there's this one arc, the Grubble Bar arc, which lasts, 3 to 4 episodes. And a lot of people feel like it took too long, especially for a sports game kind of arc. And it was annoying, I would get. But I promise you, towards the end, it gets very good, especially when Nox makes his move. Well, mainly when they enter the Sedita Kingdom, which is the place where Princess Amalia lives. That's when it gets good, and everyone loves it. Especially when Nox shows up and he starts doing his evil little scheme. It's amazing, especially the fight with Nox and the progression of Dally towards the end. After that, season 2 happens. Season 2 is more story focused. It has episodic episodes, but it still has things going on in the background that pushes the plot forward. Hugo's origin is more discovered. He reunites with his brother Dragon. Dally has a new look. Evangeline cut her hair, and everyone is back on the road again, exploring the world of 12 this time. And it's, like I say, it's better. It's better. Still episodic, but it still feels more focused as they get there on their way there. They discover the true enemy, and they face them, fight them towards the end. Pretty good animation at the end. Really good fight. And Hugo discovers even more of his past and of his people towards the end. Now, after that, season 2, which is a lot of people's like high point where they love season 2, there's also OVA specials. Like I said, season 1 main villain Nox is highly regarded as one of the best villains in animation to ever be created, especially based on how people talked about him. Every time they find out this guy's origins by seeing his movie called Nox the Zealot. And it's where this dude who just had a normal family and he was a clockmaker and he was always late on rent as landlord. One day he finds a thing called the Ilia Cube and he's obsessed with it, creating contraptions with it. He is so obsessed with it that it's very alarming, to the point where his family leaves. But one day when his family leaves, the Ogress madness happens. This is when the Ogress cries and he floods the world again. His family dies within the impact of the Ogress madness. So because of that, he loses control of himself, upset about what happened. And this cube is speaking to him, telling him ideas like, hey, you're a zealot. Zealots have a power over time. The stronger the zealot is, the more they can control time. So he decides to use this cube to create a giant clock contraption where it needs to absorb Wakfu, which is the essence of that world, by the way. And he will be able to revert time and prevent his family from dying from Ogress madness. His mindset is interesting, but how he tries to do it is messed up. He goes around taking lives, destroying the environment, just ruining everything around him that he touches. But he sees it as justification because he says, don't worry, once when I revert time, none of this stuff will ever happen. People's lives will be happy. And he just kept doing that, despite how evil and madness he did. So at the end of season 1, where he finally set up the contraption after over 100 years of collecting Wakfu, the clock only went back a couple minutes. Yes, hundreds of years of collecting Wakfu, his time was only worth hundreds of minutes. Couple of minutes, and that is it. Realizing he failed, realizing the damage and lives he had stolen, the guy withered away in shame and disgust with himself. All that time wasted for no reason. It was terrible. A man who couldn't move on because of his own mistakes of being absorbed by this cube that was manipulating him the entire time. What's inside the cube, I will not explain. Then there's the story of the Ogress himself, how he was created as a little creature by this cool alchemist, and he was on his adventure and he fell in love with a doll that was created by the Sedita god and stuff. So he was on his way to make the doll come back to life by capturing the Dofus. It explores how he collected the Dofus and how he was this innocent, cute little creature that became this big, muscular creature that gained so much power by absorbing the Dofus because he was manipulated by this doll, which caused the Ogress madness. So every now and then, when he's sad, he cries and it floods the world every single time he does, causing mass destruction and millions of lives to be lost. Then there are the OVAs. Each OVA is nearly 50 minutes long, and it shows people's adventure after season 2, which some years passed. Characters got married, they had kids, others couldn't age, others did age. The works. Anyways, this is where things wrap up. Ogress madness is happening again this time. He is crying, but this time the Sedita kingdom is being flooded first. And none of the other kingdoms are coming to his aid, except for the one from the Zealot. And Amalia has to marry him. Hugo didn't like this because he's in love with her as time went on. However, he didn't age, so he's been hesitant to ever ask her out. And So they go there, try to compose a marriage, because turns out, there's another set of Dofus. The other set of Dofus this time are ones from Yugo's world. But remember, they're not from that world. They are the Iliotropes, and Iliotropes aren't from the world of 12. So this guy has them this time, and he has two of them, and there's the other four are also in a group of two as well. He has them, but he wants to trade them over in order to marry Amalia. However, he does not wish to turn them over. Instead, he wants to use them to help his kingdom stay warm instead. So they deals off, they fight. Dally realizes he is part of, remember the gods I was talking about? He is one of those gods. He is a reincarnation of those gods. Turns out his species god would decided he don't want to be a god no more. Went down and became immortal. By this, he died, and he would reincarnate himself over and over again through patches of blood. So because of that, Dally now awakens those powers. However, he doesn't like those powers because he remembers everything that's happened, realizes he can never have the life that he has right now if he continues being a god. So in part 2, he saves the Sedita kingdom, but however, the ogre's madness will never end because he'll just cry again one day and it will start all over again. So in part 3 of the OVAs, Yugo collects his Dofus from his world to help Dally fight the ogress. However, he was warned by his brother not to do this, by the way, because if he does, it could cause very great harm, more than the ogress does. If you do, when two people who have Dofus fight each other, this is like two people who have Chaos Emeralds fight each other. It could cause great harm to the environment. But he goes anyway to save his friend. So they fight the ogress. They were winning, but they end up losing when the ogre summons his dragon friends, by the way. Yes, he has dragon friends to help them out. And then some things happened. However, they were able to stop the ogress. But however, it did cause some damage to the world. They were in space fighting each other on a rock. But as they were fighting, pieces of the rock was falling in the sky, and it was destroying parts of the world of 12. So yes, Yugo's brother was correct, by the way. But at the end of the day, the ogres had his Dofus spit out of him. He went back to normal, and all is well again. Then here comes Wakfu Season 3. Wakfu Season 3 is sometime after. After Yugo not listening to his brother and his brother felt betrayed, he leaves. He leaves, and he's been missing for a while everyone else went on their lives. Amalia keeps being pushed on the suitors by her brother. Dally is with his family, and Yugo is with Roll looking for his brother. Until one day his brother shows up, looking like freaking Frieza, by the way. He absorbs those 6 Heliotrope Dofus now, and he attacks Dally's home. And he attacks Dally's home because he is after his children. His children are candidates to become the new gods. There's this new main bad guy named Oropo, who wishes to collect new gods to face off the old gods to create a new world where they have been abandoned. So the group reunites once again to save the kids and Evangeline to go to the tower. And this tower is a test to convince them and break their will of whether or not should they really stop this main bad guy named Oropo, who wishes to restart the world in a way. However, they are correct. This guy is not meant to rule whatsoever. Even though his attention seems nice, the way he's been doing it has been very terrible and bad. So because of that, a lot of people feel a bit iffy about it when they find the truth. Turns out they were hidden from the truth from the entire time. You see different gods from different species this time, those who are demigods, who were descended from those gods. So, as you can tell, as I said before, in the world of 12, these gods had children on this planet that represented them. But very select few of those people actually had true descendant blood that resembled them as a new god, a demigod in a way. So Yugo fights against this god. This god's intentions is finally exposed, and even Yugo's brother decides to rejoin back up with him to stop this guy, as he is too strong. Now, who this guy is way too complicated to explain. His name is Oropo, but who he really is, You will just have to watch it. So they fight this guy and learn to convince him that he was in the wrong. So as things were about to explode because he was using the Heliotrope Dofus and the Ilia Cube to explode to make a bomb to destroy the gods, it went off, but they disappeared into a warp gate, which led them to the land of the gods. And that's where season 3 ends. I know I didn't do a perfectly good explanation, but that's the point. I want you to go watch Wakfu yourself. I'm only doing it because after this, when I finish up watching season 4, I'll give you my producer. That's right, I'm a producer of Wakfu. But that's what they tell me in the email to give you my opinion on season 4. So I'm probably going to finish season 4 probably on Monday or Tuesday. We'll see it then because me and my sister have been watching Wakfu together for years. So I'm excited for the finishing off. And season 5 is also in production, by the way. After its major, humongous Kickstarter happened, and it's been very successful. So I'm looking forward to that. Well, anyways, I hope you guys go watch Wakfu. It's my favorite French show ever because it's just amazing. You know, Kolyoko was at first, but as years went on, I realized how repetitive and kind of tacky drama Kolyoko got, and I still enjoy it, but I'll admit it had its very cringe moments. It's like, ooh, yeah, I like that. But when I watched Wakfu, it was made that. It was made to be childish and stuff. But as years went on, as each season went on, you start to see, it change in a way. It started to get more mature. It started to get more story focused and everything. It wasn't just misadventures as season 1 and 2 were, but it was really on a focused thing. And I believe this started after season 2. After season 2 is when the adventures really pick up, where it became more missions than journeys and adventures, because things were more direct. Things were more life threatening and stuff. So there's even comics that I couldn't really find. Like one where you go at his birthday party and they get attacked by someone from outer space who's requesting the Dofus from their world. And then there's even stories about Dali's master, who is the son of the Yop god, how he always had a miserable life, where just because he was the son of a god, he would have this life where he would have something nice in his life, but then it would be taken away from him. It would always cause a great consequence for him and those around him as well, where he would rather gain some curse or his family is killed and stuff. It's always something for this guy. He never really had any true peace at all. Despite how calm and goofy he may act in the show, the guy had a very hard and struggling life, and it sucks for that to happen. Well, anyways, this was my must-watch recommend. I hope you guys do. It's really good. I love it. Can't say more than that. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, and of course, hit that bell icon. This is the Madcrownxox. I'm Anime. Signing out.